Welcome to Oko Land. Oko Books, land and sea. Oko Books, the place for me. Grab a friend, come on, let's read. Oko Books, land and sea. Yeah! Oko Books, land and sea. Yeah! Hi, Oko crew. Welcome back to Oko Books. Let's read. This book is one of my favorites. It's called Christmas in Umuezeala, written by Books by Chuck.
One day, Ike came home to find both of his parents waiting for him in the living room. They had a massive surprise for him. They announced that the very next day, he would be heading to the village of Umuezeala to celebrate Christmas. Ike was completely shocked and caught off guard. Although his mother told him to go ahead, set his bags down, and head to the kitchen for his meal, Ike's mind kept racing. He couldn't stop wondering what it would actually be like to be in the village. Would he see the cousins he hadn't seen in years? What would the houses look like? And how was he even going to get there? As his mom and the house help chatted, Ike eavesdropped and learned that it was his uncle who would be coming to pick him up and take him to the village. He couldn't help but feel a bit sad. He had really wanted to go with his mom and dad. However, they had to stay behind for work and would be meeting him and his uncle in the village later. He couldn't help but talk to himself. It's nice enough to have my uncle come and take me, he thought. But I really want to be with my parents. Plus, I just got this new game. I just wish I could find a way to stay home. As he sat working on his homework, his mind drifting to what his upcoming journey would be like, his mother walked into the room. Sensing his anxiety, she offered him some comfort, reassuring him that they would be reunited soon.
Try as he might, Ike still couldn't sleep. Even though his mother had reassured him that things would be okay, his mind kept racing like a rushing river. He thought about the package his parents had given him, the one they strictly told him not to open until he reached Umuezeala, and he wondered what kind of goodies or surprises were hidden inside. All the other questions from earlier came flooding back to: what would the houses look like? What about the people and the many cousins he hadn't seen in years? What kind of activities did they even have in the village? Would they be just as good as the games he had here at home? There were just so many questions. The next morning, Ike was greeted by his uncle. They embraced each other gleefully, their voices echoing in the morning air as they exchanged warm greetings. Kedu? His uncle asked, clapping him on the shoulder. Odimma, Ike replied with a smile. Outside, a bright blue truck was already being loaded. Ike's mother, father, and the house help were busy packing it to the brim with boxes of goodies, clothing, and all the necessities he would need for his long journey back to the village. Ike waved goodbye to his parents as the blue truck rolled away. He was leaving his busy hometown of Aba behind. As they drove for hours, the city began to disappear. The crowded markets and noisy streets were gone. In their place were tall green trees and smooth red dirt roads. The sun started to set, painting the sky in bright oranges and pinks. Ike looked out the window. Everything looked so different from his home in Aba. There were only about 20 minutes left in the journey when the sky started to turn dark. Ike looked out the window and realized they were very close to their destination.
We are only 10 minutes away from the market square, his uncle told him. The square is right next to our house. As they drove, they began to cross a large bridge. Below them was the very last river Ike would see on the trip. Even though it was getting dark, Ike was so excited to look down. He saw little kids swimming in the cool water and fishing with their big uncles. "Uncle, are we ever going to go swimming or fishing?" Ike asked excitedly, pressing his face against the window. His uncle smiled. "All of those things will come once we settle down." As they got closer to the house, Ike's nervous feelings completely disappeared. The anxiety was replaced by pure excitement. Before he knew it, the truck turned the final corner. They were finally there. They had finally made it. As the truck pulled up, Ike's family rushed out of the house. They were so excited to see Ike and his uncle, shouting with joy because they had arrived safely after such a long journey. Inside, the house smelled amazing. The family had prepared a massive welcome feast. There were delicious dishes everywhere, including fresh meat that had been roasted just for him. When Ike walked into the dining room, he saw a giant table packed with all kinds of traditional African food. His mouth watered just looking at it. He couldn't wait to sit down and start eating. As day turned into night in Umuezeala, Ike and his family could hardly contain their exhaustion. One by one, many of them fell fast asleep right there in the cozy living room. As Ike drifted off, he began to have the most wonderful dreams about the days ahead. He dreamed about the grand Christmas feast. In his dream, the elders of the family went out to buy a massive cow to bring home for the big Christmas ceremony. Cows are huge, and the roasted meat is always the most delicious part of the celebration. Once the cow was brought to the yard, the elders would summon every single man and boy in the family to help get everything ready for the activities. It was going to be such an exciting moment, and Ike couldn't wait to see it all happen in real life. Ike was so excited. His cousins and family members were planning a trip to the local spring nearby. This meant he would finally get his chance to go swimming. It was wonderful seeing all of his relatives again, especially the ones he hadn't seen in such a long time. Everyone was laughing, catching up, and having a great time enjoying the beautiful day together. Then his uncle shared some even better news. "One of your favorite cousins is on his way to the village right now," his uncle said. Hearing that made Ike even more thrilled. He couldn't wait for his cousin to arrive so that they could all play together.
After a fun day of swimming, Ike and his family returned from the river in Umuezeala. Back at the house, he was happily reunited with his uncle. Once they both washed up and felt fresh, his uncle had a special surprise. They walked out together to a local fruit orchard that the family owned. The trees and plants were bursting with color. They picked the most delicious, juicy pineapples, along with sweet oranges and ripe mangoes. Ike and his uncle sat in the shade and ate until they were completely full. With happy, sticky hands and full bellies, they returned back to the village home. It was time to get some rest for tomorrow's big Christmas festivities. The next morning, Ike was awoken by the beautiful sound of birds singing outside his window. The village was so different from his city home in Aba. Back in the city, the mornings were always full of hustle and bustle, with loud car horns honking and noisy traffic. But here in Umuezeala, everything was quiet, peaceful and calm. Suddenly, there was a loud knock, knock, knock on the front door. Ike jumped out of bed and ran to answer it. When he pulled the door open, his eyes went wide with surprise. Standing on the porch was his cousin Anayo. "Anayo!" Ike cheered. The two cousins embraced joyfully. They hugged tightly, laughing and jumping up and down in the doorway. Ike's favorite cousin had finally arrived.
Ike and Anayo immediately went to help unload Anayo's bags from the truck. As soon as the chores were done, the two boys rushed out back to play a few fast rounds of table tennis. All around them, the big Christmas celebration was already getting started. The family had finished hanging up beautiful decorations, and the wonderful smell of holiday meals being prepared filled the air. Everyone was busy and happy, but the real magic would have to wait. The grandest part of the Christmas party wouldn't officially commence until later in the evening. Ike and Anayo clacked the ping pong ball back and forth, counting down the hours until the real fun began. A little later, a big surprise happened. Ike's mom and dad finally arrived in Umuezeala. They hadn't been able to come early because of their busy work back in the city of Aba. But now, the whole family was finally together. The house was filled with cousins, aunts, uncles, and laughter. There was great music playing, delicious food to eat, and wonderful stories being shared around the room.
Suddenly, Ike remembered the special mystery box his parents had given him. They had told him he had to wait until they arrived before he could open it. His parents smiled and nodded. "Go ahead, Ike. You can open it now." Ike excitedly pulled off the lid and looked inside. The box was filled with amazing treasures. First, he pulled out a yummy bag of chin-chin, a sweet, crunchy African snack. Right next to it was a big bag of groundnuts, which is the special name for delicious roasted peanuts. But that wasn't all. At the bottom of the box, Ike found a small toy piano and a beautiful traditional African flute. Looking around at his happy family, Ike felt like everything was absolutely perfect. Getting to try new experiences, reconnecting with his cousins, and sharing beautiful traditions was all he could have ever asked for. Christmas in Umuezeala was truly amazing. What a beautiful, heartwarming ending to the story. Ike got his parents, his favorite snacks, some awesome instruments to play, and the best holiday ever. The end.
Christmas in Umuezeala is a fantastic book. Be sure to purchase. I had so much fun today. Oko crew, how's about a song?
Hi, Oko crew. Welcome to Umuezeala. Let's dance.
Haba! The road don't open, oh!
I dey go Umuezeala, where you dey go? Umuezeala. I dey go Umuezeala, where you dey go? Umuezeala for Christmas. I dey go Umuezeala, where you dey go? Umuezeala. I dey go Umuezeala, where you dey go? Umuezeala.
Yes. We'll see you next time. Oko crew, like, share, subscribe.
I see it. I see it. They will all subscribe to Oko Books and follow.